Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, we are talking about over accommodating people. We are continuing our series of dealing with a lot of topics as it relates to people and hopefully providing you with some solutions so that you can be able to get along with some folks, cut off some individuals, or just take some time out to examine yourself. As we move along in this journey with the one true God, may you continue to be blessed and highly favored of the Lord. I know that it can be difficult sometimes listening to these messages. I know sometimes I play them back and I'm like, ooh, that one was tough. But hey, if it's going to make us better, we're going to take the bitter with the sweet. So over accommodating, we're going to dive deep with this one because we've got some individuals that are definitely showing this sort of thing, and it after a while just starts to turn some people off. Okay, whether they're over accommodating a gender, over accommodating a specific ethnicity, whether they're over accommodating their children, or they are just like this in general, it can be a source of strain, stress, when interacting with these people. I have even seen some of these individuals who will take part in a conversation and then they'll do some things with their speech so that they kind of fit in or show that, yes, I feel you. I'm right there with you. And you know, you don't even talk like that. You don't even talk like that. There's words for this sort of thing. And the types of things, though, that I want to address are more so about the over accommodation that people do. And I'm just going to briefly touch on how people will say things to match, the speech rate, the word choice, so that you see that we're good. That I'm not the enemy, that sort of thing. Some of you all are familiar with some of the terminology. Convergence. This is when individuals will match their the person who's talking. They'll match that person's speech behaviors. And sometimes it comes off as, let's just talk plainly here, disrespectful. Okay. The woman may say something like, she be going down the street and I don't know what she up to, but that's just crazy what she doing. And then a person who does not talk like that will say, oh, is that so? Is that so? She be going down that street? Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Sometimes, and they're trying to match the speech pattern. Now, if you have an ear for that sort of thing and you pay attention to when people are trying to use even this sort of speech convergence to win people over, you may even interrupt and say, don't talk like that. Don't even go there. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to sell my mother on, or you're trying to sell my grandmother or my uncle on something, right? So you think that by talking similar to them, that you're going to win them over. If anything, you come across as being disrespectful. So don't do that. And some people who think that you don't know any better, they will do this sort of thing until you call them out, and then they'll go, oh, no, I didn't mean anything by that. Then talk like you typically talk, you see. So the speech convergence is when their speech starts to sound similar to each other. Now, sometimes this just happens because, hey, some of these slang words are catchy, right? If you go to England, you might come back with an English accent, right? But that's not something that you're doing on purpose when it just slips out. I have an accent that now that the children are getting older, they hear how I pronounce certain words, and so they mock me. And they'll say something like, yeah, say this word, say that, and then they get a chuckle. So I tell them, I'm like, you can get away with only so much, but then if you use it wrongly at a time when I'm not so nice, it's going to be a problem. So I suggest that you pipe down with your little he jokes. Okay. And they've done this repeatedly. And so now it's gotten to a point where, yeah, you need the cautionary warning. You keep it up. And then there's going to be some consequences. As our family used to tell us back in the day, watch your mouth, right? You're going to come across people who are different than you in this world. When you go out of your household, whether you went off to college or you started working with people or you started shopping among certain groups or what have you, you'll hear the dialogue. You'll see how they behave. Now, if it doesn't rub off on you, great. But if it does rub off on you, you have to be conscious that if you go into certain establishments, they may think that you're mocking them. They may think that you're being condescending, that you're being disrespectful. Okay. So if you know you don't typically talk that way, then just adjust back to the way that you talk and just keep telling yourself, I don't say she be, and I don't, and I don't be talking about, oh girl, and I don't sing my words like that, says someone. So then why am I doing that? And if you catch yourself doing it, you just stop yourself midway and say, excuse me, I did not mean to say it like that. There was one particular example where a Black woman said that she went to a hotel to get checked in, and there was something that happened with her reservation, and the people were scrambling. I mean, they were working overtime trying to accommodate this woman, and she's looking at them like, okay, it's okay. I mean, I'm good. I'm not, yelling, screaming or anything, but they were treating her as if she was about to explode. There was another example where a woman was an educator, and she had to come up with a plan to accommodate her disabled students. And she said she had to be very particular, very careful about how she came up with this plan because she did not want to come off as not accommodating. So there was this little happy medium she had to come up with. So it's either you can be with some people over accommodating and turn them off, or don't be accommodating at all because you don't want them to think certain things. You can't win, right? For some people, it's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is where I would say, people of faith, you know what you need to do. Pray, right? You've got to be ready to pray before, during, and after. And be willing to say, oh, my apologies. Oh, I didn't mean this, when appropriate. Because it's just so easy, unfortunately, to anger people. And you had the best intentions, but no, they're going to see it their way. And it's going to trigger something that happened back when they were younger and they had been teased. And now here you come along and I thought you were different. And it's like, well, I mean, I got certain, things about me as well. And I'm still a work in process. You see, we have this conceptual framework that came along back when we were children. And then once we got out of our little circles and squares and small towns and we got out and and our teaching, our upbringing got challenged, it was like, okay, well, what my parents and what my grandparents and whoever else said, that wasn't necessarily altogether true. And I'm actually losing, not winning friends. So I need to change my ways if I want to make it in this world, you see, because there were different communities that I know I moved into that whatever my programming said about that particular ethnicity, I couldn't draw on that because I got to survive. Hello. I better get to know these people, learn something, you see. Find the good in them, because some of those thoughts, some of the things that, we all grew up with, that could get you hurt out there, you see. And every day we're being tested on our personal ideas and theories and, the structure that was brought about due to our training here or our parenting experience or, whatever you have been exposed to. But over accommodating individuals, I heard this sort of thing and it rubbed me the wrong way, because now that I would be considered older, even though my voice sounds still very young at times, but in certain circles, I would hear some of the younger people talk to the older people in what sound like a patronizing and a demeaning sort of way, especially if they were feeling irritated by the older person. Okay. Maybe the older person asked too many questions. Maybe the older person didn't pick up on something fast enough. So now you want to talk like this. Well, listen, Miss So-and-so, this is what you need to do. Do you see? Do you see that? No, not that, not that. Come on, let's do it this way. Okay? Yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it. Oh, right? Some of you all. And if you don't pick up on it, you say, oh, well, she's just being extra respectful or extra sensitive to Miss So-and-so's needs. But she didn't need all of that. She just had a simple problem that needed to be fixed. But because the young person was frustrated, she was guising the frustration, the impatience, because it had already been exposed. But now she had to cover it up with, okay, let's wait for Miss So-and-so. Now, take your time. Yeah, that's what you want to do. No. You see. In liquidsearch.com, overaccommodation takes place in all types of circumstances. For example, it is not uncommon for nurses or caretakers to speak to their elderly patients in baby talk. While the nurses may have the purest of intentions to care and to relate to them, the patients actually end up feeling degraded and underestimated. In this particular case, it also can cause difficulty in adapting to an institution and a dysfunctional environment. You can say that again. Some of these workplaces, firsthand experience. Are we really doing this right now? One particular lady, I hadn't even opened up my mouth, but to say maybe a yes or no. And she started with, and she was a white woman. She said something like, yeah, girl, so how you liking this job? And I did hear her conversation with a white woman earlier, and she didn't talk like that. Okay. So I told her quite boldly, quite firmly, I don't talk like that. She was like, what you mean? I said, you heard what I said. And I cut that conversation off real quick and went on about my business. You see, because it took a lot of years to work on the nuances. And some of you all in my early audios, even the way the tone of my voice was, I had to work on that. Because I knew that certain types of things that you say and how you say them can turn the ear off of folks, especially people who listen to me via headphones. They don't want to hear some of that. And so the voice back then was higher. And sometimes if I was just frustrated, you could hear the frustration and there was a bit of attitude, and then the truth would come forth. And thank God some people were able to, have some takeaways. And yes, we still have a certain tone of voice because of just years and years of being around certain type of people. And so you find yourself saying, okay, am I a little bit too this and a little bit too that and whatever else? Okay. But I tell people, I'm like, just ride with me. You know, if you get something out of it, praise God. You know, if you don't, I am so sorry. You know, it was not my intention. But you get this sort of thing with some individuals as you age. And so I decided that I wasn't going to dye my hair. I was just going to let the gray show. And in some of my early videos, you'll see where I got some gray showing, you know, and I'm totally fine with it, good with it, you know, didn't care about page views. And mind you, I did not get a lot of page views on those face videos. I actually got more page views over the years when you didn't see my face. That's why we continue in this way. So it could be that my eyes are intense when I talk. It could be that I'm just not likable when I move my hands. I don't know. And I just do what God tells me to do, right? But the gray hair in person, oh my. People look at you like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, poor girl. She doesn't have any money for a bottle of dye. Oh, right? So some individuals, it's interesting how when they see gray, how accommodating they can be versus when your hair is fully dyed. Oh, you look young. You could go over there and get it yourself. But gray hair shows up. Oh, ma'am, let me get this cart. Okay, I didn't come limping in here, but I'll take, you know, what you're giving me. And with the hair dyed, it's Nicholl. But with the hair not dyed, it's Miss Nicholl. You see? Some of you all, you may be a different ethnicity other than African American. And so you may act one way with your kind of people, right? Okay, this is my kind of people. I'm going to be laid back. I'm going to be chill because they know how we roll. But then that other ethnicity comes in and it's like, oh, I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to be very, very professional. Yeah. That's the voice that I'm going to use. Or you get those that'll go, I've been around this type. I'm going to just let my little street dialect slip. You might get a surprise. I would just go with the professional dialogue. Okay. And then let's not, you know, trip all over ourselves thinking that somebody's about to, you know, be the angry black man or angry black woman or angry this person or that one or spicy this one or that one. Okay. Let's just take our time like we did with our kind of people. You see, it's just safe, you know. Now, if it is the type of atmosphere that, yes, you should be on your, you know, on point. And you typically move fast with everybody and everybody sees it. You typically move fast and that's what you do. In one particular environment, everybody knew when they were coming my way, it was going to be quick. It was going to be fast paced because that's how I roll. I am one of those people. I'm moving quick. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go. Let's do this, and that. And I don't care whether you're Italian, whether you're African American, whether you're, you know, Chinese or Japanese or anyone. I'm moving fast. I'm getting it done because your time is valuable. That's how we do. But then you go to certain environments where this is how we do around here. We take our time. We're talking. One particular location I went to, there were two women chatting it up. And I was antsy. And they're still chatting it up. And one of the workers did not acknowledge me when I walked in. Did not proceed to ask me what I was there for. And so I rang the bell. The worker was right there looking at me like, why did you just ring the bell? Why didn't you just come over and help me out? You see, I didn't say that. Instead, I said, what is happening here? To trigger thought. You should have been telling me what you were doing. You're chatting it up and talking about things that have nothing to do with business. And you could tell that they had been there for a while chatting it up by the body language. The customers leaned back, okay, got her elbow all up on the counter. And some of you all know how it goes. And those of us who come from very fast cities, fast paced, or we were raised around fast people, We don't take so kindly to slower pace, slower talk at times, slower anything, even though some of us could talk rather slow. I've been told that. But as I get older, I realize you've got to think more about what you say. And sometimes fast doesn't always mean efficient. So sometimes you got to slow down, especially when it's something that involves detail and making sure that it's right, so that people don't come back and say, excuse me, this is incorrect. Where's your manager? Right? Well, I am the manager. Oh, and this is how you serve the customer? Okay, who's your upper manager? You see, right? And so now you want to be over accommodating. Well, they can see through that too. You weren't all that over accommodating when I walked in. You weren't even accommodating when I walked in. But now that I say something like manager, you want to do something. You see, over accommodating people, what do? You can say, excuse me, I noticed some things, blah, 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 blah. So confronting, talking, communicating, being professional, being polite, exposing. This isn't something that I've heard you say or do with others, so why are you doing it with me, right? Over accommodating people are even within our own kind, so to speak, who they will say something like, let's get all of the best dishware out, the best tablecloth out. Let's make the food with the best ingredients. Well, who's showing up? It's the white people. What? Yes, this is something that some of you all know all too well if you've been around old school. I saw this firsthand, and I had come back from college, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good. This is not good. Whereas prior to going to college, I was like, okay, the white people are showing up. I got to make sure that I got the best of everything. And then some folks wonder why there's the superiority complex. Because when a society has encouraged a type of behavior, it is hard to break. If you feel uncomfortable about that behavior, if you know that you're nothing special, right? You're just a person, then why don't you go ahead and tell that person, you don't have to call me miss. That was one of the things that I noticed. What is this business of miss and Mr. and what is this? You don't do that with your people, do you? Do you say, Mr. So-and-so? Yes, I do. Oh, okay. Well, then if you do it with your people, then that's fine. I say Mr. So-and-so because he looks like he's over the age of 40, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But then what I noticed was I would see some of the first name usage with the African Americans between each other. But then I would still hear every now and again the Mr. and the Miss with white people. Now, what are we doing? Excuse me, come over here. Okay. Listen, we're using first names for everyone. Got it? All right, great. Get back to work. Okay. This is the sort of thing that, once again, it is educating people, showing them that there is something that is not going to sit well. It's going to come back and blow us all up in the face. Okay. Somebody's going to be talking to HR. Somebody's going to be talking to our managers. Something's going to happen at some point. So let's just keep it consistent all the way across the board. Over accommodating, excuse me, fellow professionals, but not over accommodating others within the same industry. No, these are my coworkers. I'm going to make sure that I, bend over backwards. How about we're just accommodating everyone, not just, certain people and then going the extra mile. Well, you don't understand because that's my brotherhood. That's my sisterhood. Okay. So this is where you will see this sort of thing take place as well, is within brotherhoods and sisterhoods. Wow. What's so special about her? I mean, she rolled the red carpet out. Did you see what she's wearing? Did you see the symbols? Did you see the colors? Did you see the handshake? Did you see what those guys were doing? Did you hear the conversation? That's why. Oh, yeah. So some of this is expected. So we're not going to be able to eradicate everything. We're not going to be able to call out everything. It is expected. That is what the handbook over at the lodge said, and you need to be there and you need to do, because that's what you promised you would do. You see, there are those individuals who, in their overaccommodation, have left people very angered because they did the very things that I'm talking about. Okay. They were the individuals who were changing up their dialogue, their conversation, and it came across as very condescending. They were the type of individuals that were giving the best of the best to this particular gender, this particular group, and then everybody else, well, you get the little pieces of chicken. You see, you can see this when it's right there in your face. But then there are those things that go on behind closed doors that are out of view, and they're out of view and behind closed doors because people know that if you're observant, if you pay attention to these sorts of things, if you are, dare we say it, sensitive, you might call them out on it. So that's why they're going to keep some things secret. And besides, you're not a part of the club. You're not a part of the group. You're not a part of the secret society or whatever else. So guess what? You're not going to know. Okay. But you may end up finding out. And even still, there's no special accommodations for you unless you are a card carrying member who have paid your dues. Okay. Sometimes you're grandfathered into various establishments because of those who have came before you. Okay. And so when you are grandfathered into certain establishments, then there is a type of accommodation that takes place, whether seen or unseen. Okay. I know for some of you all, life is so unfair. Yes, it is. I know for some of you all, you have been the victims of some pretty messy things that happen as a result of overaccommodation blowing up in your face, including termination. There are those individuals that I just want to help my people. I just want to give them a discount. I just want to give them something free. Well, that's not your business. Seriously, that is not your business. And you shouldn't be giving them anything that business owner did not authorize you to give. You should not be giving discounts or the hookups. Cameras are on, people. Jesus, help us all. And even if there's a manager who's cool with that person, who she comes here every day, just give her. Not on my watch. You can come over here and give her. Okay. This is how I had to deal with some situations. Look, I'm not being unfair or difficult or Aunt Tammy or Uncle Tom or nobody. I just am not doing it because you see, when you yourself are in business, you don't want it being done to you. Quite boldly, plainly. I don't know how else to say it. And even if you're not in business, morally, righteously, you don't want to do that sort of thing. Because God, He's watching. Forget cameras. Cameras can break, right? Cameras can get stolen. But God is watching. And you call yourself a child of God, and yet you got people doing what? You breaking all sorts of rules. Some of those rules that people had they broke them for years as a result of what one person did. And by the time they decided to finally leave and others got terminated, the whole staff was polluted with all the rule breaking. And some of these businesses are no longer in business because of it. So one of the favorite businesses, because of the stealing and the, heavy discounts and all of this other stuff that's going on, can be closed this time next year because of what somebody or somebodies have been doing in their overaccommodation and their just pay the man back for all of what he did to our peoples and all this other stuff. This sort of thing happens. Watch out for it. Don't be a part of it. God is watching. I thank you as always for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube in Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. We do welcome giving and blessings to you.